OECS and CARICOM trade ministers have outlined several key areas that must now be included in future negotiation of trade deals. The ministers made recommendation at a meeting on September 24 in St. Lucia and highlighted the upcoming CARICOM-Canada negotiations for a free trade agreement as the starting point. Here are details.
The ministers were of the view that a special and differential carve-out for the region in upcoming negotiations must be commensurated with regional levels of development. They also called for considerations of enhanced and effective access by regional exporters to Canadian markets, flexible rules, sustained trade capacity building measures and development support. This, they say, should be similar to what has already been secured in the Economic Partnership Agreement with the European Union. The trade ministers also felt that the deliberations of development should be instructed by the current trust of the region in diversifying economic bases. The meeting agreed that there was a need for the OECS and CARICOM member states to adopt a uniformed approach to making liberalization commitments in the service sector. The ministers also noted the importance of transportation to realizing meaningful benefits of the proposed trade agreement and called for provisions that should ensure technical assistance and cooperation in transportation initiatives. They also called for simplified rules of origin for specific tariff lines that are important to key exporting sectors and expansion of productive capacities. Recommendations from the trade ministers meeting will feed into the broader regional negotiating brief being prepared for CARICOM. The quoted will sign off on the CARICOM negotiating brief towards the end of this month, and negotiations with Canada for a trade and development agreement will be launched mid-November. Edward Lane, the 6 o'clock news.
PPP lead Region 4 Councillor Kwame McCoy is alleging that the regional chairman, Mr. Clement Corlett, is running the region like a dictator. But Mr. Corlett says the accusations are false, and he believes that Mr. McCoy is not fully aware of the council's operations. Here's more.
Mr. McCoy says the chairman is confused about his role and responsibilities. He is also alleging that Mr. Corlett is overstepping or in some cases trying to rewrite local government regulations. And he contends that the party will not be restricted or curtailed from voicing its views on issues.
He says that the chairman shall decide who speaks at these meetings. And the regional chairman shall determine any question which may arise during the meeting. Now, this is the greatest level of absurdity we hear in a day and age where we have in the Caribbean one of the best practiced democracies here in Guyana. And the whole business of dictatorship and leaders who have the brand of dictators are outdated.
However, Mr. Corlett says the accusations are false and he believes that Mr. McCoy needs to be more aware of the council's operations. He says all matters or policies are placed before the council for discussion, after which they are accepted or amended. Mr. Corlett also believes that Mr. McCoy is peeved about being upbraided by the council for an undesirable attitude towards the regional educational officer. He is also alleging that Mr. McCoy is unnecessarily contentious and controversial. But McCoy insists that he and other PPP councillors will not sit idly by and allow Corlett a free hand. Meanwhile, AFC councillor Michael Carrington says it could be a case of misinterpretation because of the lack of articulation, adding that his party will continue to work for the betterment of the region. Reporting for the 6 o'clock news, I'm Delicia Fletcher.
The Guyana Power and Light Company is hoping to install prepaid meters to consumers in Georgetown by year-end. However, Chief Executive Officer Bar Dindale says there is still much work to be done before this can be realized. More in this report.
The Guyana Power and Light Company has recently received a no objection from the Inter-American Development Bank for a prepaid metering system installation. Chief Executive Officer Bar Dindale foresees a hype of activity in the upcoming weeks. He says the deliverables of this process should be seen within 6 weeks of the contract being awarded.
There's a fair bit of work that has to be done here, and of course the public relations for the areas that we're going to target for the pilot program. We have to identify vendors who are going to sell electricity. We have to set up a standalone platform with GPL's head office to do the transactions for these sales. Of course, there is a bit of software work that has to be done by this vendor in conjunction with us to interface with our billing system, and the equipment we're going to be issuing to vendors.
According to Dindial, hopes are high that the prepaid meters will be in use in Georgetown before the year ends. In an earlier interview with NCN, the CEO stated that 2,000 of the computerized meters are expected to be installed during the first phase of the project. This, he said, would be done in selected areas which are often inaccessible to GPL staff. The prepaid metering system is seen as a solution to estimated consumption rates, helping customers to cut back on electricity costs. It would also enable GPL to recover from some of the financial losses which have been plaguing the company in recent times. Reporting for the 6 o'clock news, I'm Shardalal.
Lifeline Counseling Services is today celebrating 12 years of providing support to orphans and vulnerable children and persons affected by HIV. Executive Director Carlotta Williams says much has been accomplished throughout the years, but the challenge of providing safe homes for children is still there. Here's Natasha Smith.
Lifeline Counseling Services on Wednesday observed its 12th anniversary, and though the initial focus was on providing counseling for those affected by HIV, they have expanded.
That response grew from counseling to education. We took on 4 years ago a program to provide care and support for orphans and vulnerable children. And that program, together with our program to provide support for persons living with HIV and voluntary counseling and testing, has really grown. Today, we stand with a staff of 27, providing care and support.
Executive Director Carlotta Williams says there is a referral network where persons can access support that Lifeline does not provide. She adds that clients also respond well to the services they provide.
For all of our clients, we have developed a care plan and we have seen growth. We've been able to move clients from one level to the other. You know the devastation of just receiving a positive result. And we have moved persons from that stage to acquiring jobs, taking care of their families, and really keeping families together.
Currently, there are 300 orphans and vulnerable children and community home and palliative care services to 180 persons living with HIV.
The major challenge is to continue to provide, to keep families together and to continue to provide a home for children when there is no home. The inability to place children in safe homes is a challenge for us. That's our major challenge.
During the past year, the organization surpassed its voluntary testing and counseling target by 294% and now offers after-hour services from 5 p.m. According to Williams, Lifeline has developed a wide-ranging action plan and is actively engaging partners for financial and technical support. Since November last year, Digicel provided support with a donation of $1.1 million and is now Lifeline's corporate sponsor. Today at a press briefing to observe the day, the organization unveiled a sign depicting that partnership. Reporting for the 6 o'clock news, Natasha Smith.
One justice of peace is calling for parents to educate their children about the dangers of taking drops from strangers. This follows an abduction of a teenage girl about 2 weeks ago at the Guy Oil gas station, Providence. Here are details.
On October 6, a 15-year-old girl was picked up by a stranger at a gas station after she left her Herstelin home to buy kerosene. Justice of Peace Wendell George says that after that Monday, she was not seen until 2 days later.
When questioned, she said she went to buy the kerosene at Guy Oil gas station. And while waiting for Transpeat to come back home, a car came up and the driver of the car offered her a drop.
Mr. George says the girl pointed out that the stranger did not take her home, but took her close to town in a building she described as having many rooms where she stayed the night.
And kept her there the whole of Monday night and sexually violated her.
After her return, she was taken to the Providence police station where she was referred to Dr. Mohan Prasad, who revealed that she was sexually assaulted and has never been sexually active up until the incident. The Justice of Peace lamented that the police has nothing to go on since the teen is not acquainted with the city.
Now, my contention is, what has happened to this young lady can happen to many other young ladies. And this gentleman who did this thing, well, forgive me to say gentleman, he could be a gentleman, who did this, he has to be caught.
In the meantime, George has threatened to take the matter further with the crime chief, insisting the perpetrator has to be apprehended. Reporting for the NCN 6 o'clock news, I am Nacasia Logan.